Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive that might surprise you. We're going to be exploring the world of restaurants and all the fun lingo that comes with it, but through a pretty unique lens.
Oh, this sounds interesting.
Yeah, right. So a listener actually shared a YouTube video with us.
Okay.
It's actually meant for people learning English,
Interesting.
but we're going to see what kind of insights we can extract about dining out from it.
I like it.
So the video is called Eating at a Restaurant.
Okay.
It's episode 7 from the channel English Podcast Zone.
Cool.
So let's jump in and see what we can find.
It's fascinating to me how even a resource like that can really give you a cool perspective on dining culture.
Right.
Like, we're not just looking at vocab here.
Yeah.
We're also looking at how language reflects all those little social dynamics that you encounter when you're eating out.
Absolutely. And like right off the bat, the video starts with some fun, informal terms like checking out a restaurant, which basically means to go see what it's all about. And then you have words like bistro and hole in the wall. And these words, they kind of go beyond just being synonyms for restaurant.
Right. They each evoke a very specific image and experience.
Yeah.
So like a bistro suggests a certain kind of French charm.
Yeah.
And maybe even a specific type of menu, hole in the wall. On the other hand, hints at something hidden, maybe a little rough around the edges,
Yeah.
but with the potential for amazing food.
Yeah, it's true. It's like the language itself is kind of setting the scene for us.
Totally. It
Yeah.
is. It's like giving you a little insider's perspective on the dining scene.
For sure, for sure. And speaking of insider tips, the video also highlights phrases for expressing your preferences politely.
Oh, interesting.
Like saying, not all that crazy about something, which is basically a softer way of saying you don't like it,
Right.
or being in the mood for a particular cuisine.
I love that these phrases are such great examples of indirect communication,
Yeah.
which is so important in many cultures, especially when you're dining with others.
Yeah.
You're expressing your opinion without being too direct or potentially offending someone.
Right.
Like, imagine trying to navigate a group dinner without these subtle tools.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that leading to some awkward moments.
For sure.
And then the video dives into the art of making recommendations, using phrases like, I'd recommend giving it a try, or you gotta give them a try.
It's cool how they actually emphasize the use of contractions in these phrases, like the end, you gotta.
Yeah.
It seems like a small thing, but it's actually so important for sounding natural and fluent when you're speaking English.
Yeah.
The video even points this out explicitly as like a key tip for learners.
It's a good reminder that like language learning isn't just about memorizing grammar rules.
Right.
It's also about understanding how people actually talk in real life situations.
100%.
But then the video takes a bit of a turn when one of the hosts, Erica, she shares this personal anecdote about a less than ideal dining experience.
So.
She talks about getting food poisoning from freshly squeezed orange juice in Morocco.
Oh, no.
It's a good reminder that food poisoning doesn't always come from the food itself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be the preparation methods the water used, or even just the cleanliness of the utensils.
That's true.
It's definitely something to keep in mind, especially when you're traveling to places with different food safety standards than what you're used to.
Absolutely a cautionary tale for adventurous eaters.
For sure. So it's interesting that, like, beyond just learning new words, this episode kind of highlights how language can help you navigate those sometimes tricky social situations that inevitably come up
Yeah.
when you're dining out with others, especially in unfamiliar cultures.
I agree. Knowing how to express your preferences politely, making recommendations smoothly,
Right.
or even just understanding the subtle cues behind certain vocabulary can make a world of difference in having a positive and enjoyable dining experience.
Speaking of making recommendations, the video actually goes a step further.
Oh, what do they do? It provides viewers with a mini lesson on how to ask for suggestions.
Okay.
So they highlight phrases like, do you have any suggestions? Or do you have any ideas?
Uh-huh.
Just simple but effective ways to get the ball rolling when you're looking for a recommendation.
Right.
They even offer, do you have any thoughts? Which
Nah.
feels a bit more casual.
Yeah.
Like you're just brainstorming with friends.
Yeah, I like that.
It's interesting how even a slight change in wording can kind of shift the tone of the conversation.
Absolutely. And speaking of subtle nuances, let's circle back to the importance of contractions when making those recommendations.
Yes.
The video really emphasizes how I'd recommend giving it a try sounds so much smoother than I would recommend giving it a try.
It does. It does. It's like those contractions are the secret ingredient to sounding like a natural English speaker.
Yeah. And the video even mentions how understanding these contracted forms is key to comprehending faster-paced English, like what you'd hear in a movie or a TV show.
Totally. It's true. It's true. Those little details, they can make a big difference in fluency and comprehension.
For sure.
But before we move on, I have to ask, have you ever had a food poisoning experience as unfortunate as Erica's orange juice incident?
Thankfully, I've been spared from anything quite that dramatic.
Okay.
I did have a questionable street food encounter in Southeast Asia once that left me feeling a bit worse for wear.
Uh-oh.
Let's just say I was very grateful for the abundance of pharmacies in that part of the world.
Oh my gosh. I bet a story for another time, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
But speaking of stories, the video kind of wraps up with Erica recounting her tale of getting food poisoning from that freshly squeezed orange juice.
Right.
In Morocco.
Yeah.
It really highlights how food safety can be so unpredictable, even with something as seemingly harmless as orange juice.
Yeah, it does emphasize the importance of being mindful, especially when you're traveling.
Yeah.
But it also adds a nice human touch to the language lesson, you know?
Right.
It makes it more engaging and relatable.
It does. Sometimes a personal anecdote can be much more impactful than a textbook definition.
Yeah.
And in this case, it really reinforces that idea that language learning isn't just about memorizing words and grammar rules.
Yeah.
It's about connecting with real-life experiences and understanding the cultural context behind those experiences.
Well said.
Yeah.
I mean, so far this video has given us a taste of informal restaurant vocabulary.
Yeah.
Polite ways to express preferences and tips for giving and receiving recommendations like a pro.
Yeah.
We even got some insights into the importance of nonverbal communication, like understanding those subtle but crucial contractions.
I know. And let's not forget that important reminder about food safety. There's
Yeah.
clearly a lot more to eating at a restaurant than meets the eye.
For sure.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, there's one more layer of the video I'd like to unpack.
You come.
What other linguistic gems are hidden within this English learning episode?
I'm all ears. Tell me more.
So remember those vocabulary words we discussed earlier? Like bistro and hole in the wall. They're not just like random words. They actually represent specific dining concepts.
You're right, bistro. It kind of conjures up images of a charming, like French-inspired eatery.
Exactly.
While hole in the wall suggests something hidden, unassuming, but potentially serving up amazing food.
Right. These terms actually reflect cultural values and expectations around food and dining.
Interesting.
And the fact that these words exist in English tells us something about the diversity of culinary experiences that English speakers have adopted.
So it's not just about learning the words themselves.
Right.
It's about understanding the cultural context that they carry.
Exactly. And this cultural understanding is super crucial for effective communication, especially in a globalized world like ours.
It's like you could know the definition of bistro.
Right.
But without understanding those cultural associations, you might miss out on the full experience.
You got it. And this applies to so much more than just restaurant vocabulary.
Oh, yeah.
Like language is a window into a culture's values, beliefs, and even humor.
That's so true. It makes you realize that learning a language is about so much more than just grammar and vocab.
Yeah.
It's about connecting with a whole new way of seeing the world.
And in the case of this video, it's about connecting with the joys of dining out and sharing those experiences with others.
Well said. So as we wrap up our deep dive into restaurant lingo, what key takeaway would you leave our listener with?
I think the biggest takeaway here is that language is more than just a tool for communication. It's a reflection of culture, a way to connect with others, and a key to unlocking a deeper understanding of the world around us.
Beautifully put. So to our listener, we encourage you to pay attention to the language used around food in your own culture. What unique words or phrases do you have? What stories do they tell about your culinary traditions and values? Food for thought, wouldn't you say? Until next time.